We are once again talking about the rumored Outbreak 2.0 Zombies mode apparently in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. This is just according to rumors from Insider Gaming, so it isn't confirmed, and of course it's subject to change. And whether it's called Outbreak 2.0, we are still yet to determine, since there's been literally no official information or announcements from Activision or Call of Duty just yet. It is very well possible that whilst the mode might be a predecessor to Outbreak, they might go for an entirely new name and branding. But regardless of what the mode ends up being called, I do wonder if Verdansk may be implicated in some way and could even potentially be returning. Could it even be the main locale and setting of Modern Warfare 3 Zombies? Because so far a lot of us have been speculating that whatever this Outbreak 2.0 mode is will likely be played on the new Las Almas Warzone map, considering the fact that with the original Outbreak it was of course played on the Ural Mountains, which similarly was designed originally for Battle Royale for Blackout 2.0, which got cancelled since development continued on Warzone instead. And we ended up just seeing the Ural Mountains in Fireteam and of course within Outbreak. However, we were originally supposed to see it on Battle Royale, and it does make sense for them to reuse areas and assets from Battle Royale and bring them over to Zombies. And I just hope that if they do indeed go for this route like they did with the Ural Mountains, they just make the location feel a bit more Zombies-esque and give it a different skin and aesthetic to make it a lot creepier within the Zombies experience, because I felt like the Ural Mountains was very, very bright at times, and the theme was just a bit too light-hearted for Zombies in my opinion anyways, and it made it feel less unique. But regardless of that fact, what if we aren't playing on Las Almas? What if we're playing on Verdansk even? Or even we could be playing on multiple different Battle Royale maps. For example, we could even play it on Al Mazrah, we could even play on some of the Resurgence maps such as the Sheikah Island and Vondel, and even some maps planned in the future. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up Verdansk is I've talked about this a little bit in prior videos, but of course probably the main storyline setup for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is going to be tying back into what we saw previously on Verdansk, where of course in 2021 the Vodiano ship arrived at the coast of Verdansk after previously being sighted at Rebirth Island, and that's because the ship randomly disappeared in 1984 and turned up around 40 years later. No one knows what it was doing in that time, but us, the community, have been largely speculating that most likely it hit a Dark Ether rift and transported into the Dark Ether during that 40-year time period, and somehow it came back to our regular world. Maybe it hit again a rift, but this time going from the Dark Ether into our regular universe and not the other way around. As to how it hit an anomaly, maybe it just randomly cropped up, or maybe it has something to do with it being hit by one of the Dark Ether inversion warhead missiles that we launched of course into the Pacific during the first Outbreak quest, which was diverted by Ravenov and Samantha Maxis. But that is of course in the Pacific, which isn't exactly the location of where the Vodiana ship headed to, since of course it set sail from Rebirth, so it doesn't really make sense why exactly it would have hit, but that's just one possible theory. As I was saying, it doesn't really matter as to the how it got into the Dark Ether, but I think it's very likely it went into the Dark Ether, because then of course when it reappeared in 2021 on Verdansk, it brought Zombies with it. The Zombies then overran Verdansk, causing us to nuke the map to try and contain the outbreak. However, it does seem like our efforts failed, as we know that the Zombies spread to Rebirth Island in 2022 whilst Perseus were active there. Of course in 2021 when we nuked Verdansk, we could see the nuclear cloud in the distance of Verdansk, because of course Rebirth Island is set very, very close to Verdansk. But yes, somehow the Zombies managed to make their way over to Rebirth, and that's kind of where the storyline was left regarding these Zombies in Warzone. But that has to be the storyline setup for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, and I'm sure there'll be lots of references and stuff like that to Black Ops Cold War Zombies, as well as COD 2024 Zombies, which is going to be set in the 90s. However, I think the story will be largely self-contained, potentially just playing as Task Force 141, and there'll be references to what happened in the 90s, I'm sure, and teasers, but of course they're not going to spoil exactly what happens because they want that to be a surprise for 2024. And I do very well think that whatever this Outbreak 2.0 mode is could receive a big 90s update in 2024. There's also rumors that the mode could potentially be free to play, maybe a part of Warzone, but we'll have to wait and see if that ends up happening. I think that would be a good thing for the mode, because that's what happened with DMZ, is free to play in Warzone, and it's meant that the mode has opened up to a lot more players. But if it goes free to play, I wonder if that will be this year with Modern Warfare 3. Maybe you'll have to pay for it, you'll have to buy Modern Warfare 3 to be able to play it this year, but then it might go free to play next year with COD 2024 if they have a 90s update or something like that. The only worry is though, if it is free to play, I just hope there's not a load of pay to win or pay for advantage bundles for Outbreak 2.0, similar to how we've been seeing pay for advantage bundles in DMZ. That is the big concern, that is the big fear there, because they need to try and monetize somehow. So I really hope hope that isn't the case, but I think that Outbreak 2.0 going free to play would open up the mode to such a wider audience. Outbreak, the first iteration, was already largely successful, but you had to buy Black Ops Cold War, which obviously held back the mode a lot, and it could have been way bigger if it was free to play. They did have free to play weekends and events, and the player base skyrocketed during those events, so that's proof that if it was permanently free to play, it would open up the player base to a massive, massive audience. But again, that is still apparently undecided at Activision, so we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. But I want to continue to talk about how Verdansk may be implicated in Outbreak 2.0 and Modern Warfare 3 Zombies in a second, but first of all, this is Vanguard Zombies in a nutshell. Let's hope that Modern Warfare 3's Outbreak mode doesn't have such extreme packet loss, especially with solo now being on dedicated servers. This really needs to be sorted out. Are you absolutely fed up and tired of experiencing lagging, spikes, and packet loss in video games? Well, luckily, I have something for you to help sort things out. Hyper-EV is a professional acceleration router dedicated for different console users. It can help you get rid of high ping, packet loss, spikes, jitters by significantly enhancing your download speed and ensuring smoother in-game experiences. Hyper-EV makes network connections stable on both peer-to-peer and server basis instead of jumping to 200 ping down from 50. There's also a seamless latency-free experience, especially during a peak period where many users are using the internet at the same time. This all helps optimize the connection for people who are suffering from bad network infrastructure. It offers two connection options, wired and wireless. Compared to the software booster, it is directly boosted from the Ethernet cable with better performance and stabilization in general, which is especially important for console users. Supported by Gear Up, Hyper-EV offers almost every popular game on any platform of your choosing, not only Warzone but also Apex Legends, Fortnite, etc. You might wonder how Hyper-EV reduces ping so significantly. Well, simply put, Hyper-EV avoids heavy traffic routes and reroutes your network to a dedicated pathway. Imagine taking a private jet to work instead of your daily commute. The former is undoubtedly more efficient and stress-free. And that's the perfect analogy. This will improve your experience grinding online games such as Warzone 2, and I'm sure you'll see significant improvements when you give Hyper-EV a shot. So with that being said, you can check out the link down below and the pinned comment and use my promo code that you can see on screen to purchase Hyper-EV and get 15% off your order. Don't miss out! Okay, so continuing with the discussion, like I said, the last time we saw zombies in Warzone was on Rebirth Island. Then we don't really know what happened after that. We don't know what happened to Rebirth Island either. Rebirth Island disappeared and now we can no longer play it, but there was rumors at the time when this zombies mode was added to Rebirth, it was specifically called Rebirth of the Dead, that we might, similarly to Verdansk, nuke Rebirth Island after the zombie outbreak to try and contain it. There was even some leaked stuff in the files of the game pertaining to that. However, we never actually saw that event, so I don't know if they were planning for some sort of nuke event on Rebirth similar to Verdansk, but it got cancelled. I'm really not entirely sure, but yeah, we had an extraction mode added to Rebirth as well, so I don't know if that was supposed to, you know, simulate what happened after the zombies. We just exfilled the map and we haven't seen it since. I do have a huge feeling like Rebirth Island might return at some point though in Warzone because it is such a fan favorite, and I would love to see it in an Outbreak 2.0 style mode as well, especially because on the first Outbreak, although we could play on sections from the Euro Mountains, they started adding multiplayer maps later on, and I think the multiplayer maps actually play better than the Euro Mountains locations because they were more contained and had more unique locations, and I think they worked really well. So if they want to take some of the smaller Resurgence Warzone maps or even some of the larger battle maps from multiplayer and turn them into Outbreak locations, I think that would be pretty sweet. Although I would like to see an Outbreak variant where we can play on the entire map from Warzone instead of just sections from it. Maybe they could even do both different versions of the mode. Anyways, let's talk about Verdansk now because we've been rambling quite a bit. So yeah, everything that I've just discussed is the setup for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. However, in DMZ we have Building 21, which is set in an unknown location. Various people have been speculating that it could be set in Russia because there's been various allusions to that in the game, but people similarly think the facility may even be set underneath Verdansk, and there's actually quite a bit of evidence for this due to a keycard from Verdansk's Bunker 11 being on Building 21, and the TAC map shows a crater above the underground facility that resembles the aftermath of nuking Verdansk. So it makes sense that the Building 21 facility might have been set up to monitor and experiment regarding the outbreak after we nuked it. Or maybe it was even set up beforehand. Especially because we have all of these bunkers on Verdansk, and after it was nuked, maybe some of those bunkers got converted into the Building 21 facility. Maybe it was even Bunker 11 that got converted into the facility, explaining why the keycard is there. But even if it's not set directly under Verdansk, Verdansk is obviously in Kostovia, close to Russia, so there is the possibility that the zombie outbreak spread to Russia as well, and maybe Building 21 might be set in Russia, but still very close to Verdansk, and they might have nuked that area as well. Now, we do know that Task Force 141 knows of Requiem and zombies due to ghosts discovered uncovering an old document in 2020 writing on it, what the F is the Department of Requiem? This was intel we saw in Warzone and was never expanded upon since then, so I wonder if they've been planning a Modern Warfare 3 Zombies experience or a Modern Warfare Zombies Outbreak experience all the way back in 2020. This might have been a big work in progress and might have not just come last minute and out of nowhere, considering the fact that there's been teasers to Modern Warfare Zombies all the way back in the day that were just never expanded upon. Now, of course, that's in 2020. By the time we see Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, it'll be set in 2023. So in that 3-year gap, Ghost and the rest of Task Force 141 would have likely uncovered more information about Requiem and zombies, and they would have figured out what was going on in the 80s, because obviously everything regarding the zombies in Black Ops Cold War was kept a secret from the public. They used cover stories to try and not let the public know about it, and only very, very select high-up people knew about it. Of course, one being the director of Requiem, Eddie Richtofen, but most of the CIA probably just didn't know about it, and you know, as we were saying, Task Force 141 might start figuring out what is going on, and then that could be the setup to them actually going to Verdansk after it was nuked and then finding all of these zombies and figuring out what was going on there, because I think Task Force 141 in the game's canon weren't really there when the map was nuked and the stuff with the zombies. But yeah, I think this could all be the setup for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, and I wonder if the map we actually play on in Outbreak 2.0 could be a post-nuked apocalyptic version of Verdansk, because I think that would be an awesome setup. Verdansk is such a fan favorite map, and you know, that could be the perfect way to bring it back. So far, they haven't had one main Battle Royale map in Warzone, but I feel like that's going to change because we, of course, currently have Al-Mazrah as the main map. However, the recent map Vondel set in Amsterdam that has just been added to Resurgence is going to be coming as a Battle Royale map too. So for the first time ever, we're having two main Battle Royale maps in Warzone. So they might start bringing back old maps and just have them all available in a playlist. And I would love to see a post-nuked version of Verdansk. I think that would also work well on DMZ. I think that would be quite fun. Speaking of DMZ though, I wonder if with this Outbreak 2.0 mode, they might even do a zombies DMZ mode. A lot of people have been saying they would enjoy DMZ if it was zombies instead of regular AI soldiers because they find them quite boring, I included, so I would be more inclined to play DMZ if it was zombies instead of regular players in my opinion. They could still have regular Outbreak but then also DMZ Outbreak, but that's just one idea. Would you like to see zombies on post-nuked Verdansk? I personally would, and like I said, they could bring it back for Battle Royale as well. I don't know if they're going to do this, of course, with the war going on with Russia and Ukraine. I don't know if they're going to do that because it might be too sensitive. Obviously, we know that Verdansk is based off of Donetsk in Ukraine, so it might be too close to home. With that being said, they're adding Verdansk back on Warzone Mobile, so I don't see why not. But for some reason, they removed Ravenov from Black Ops Cold War just because he's Russian. They never released him as an operator. He was supposed to come, and he doesn't even like the Russian government, so I don't know why they didn't release him. But in Modern Warfare 2, we're now seeing Russian operators. So yeah, everything seems a bit strange here as to how Activision are handling how they want to approach the stuff with the war, but I don't really understand it, to be honest, because it's not really going to make a big difference. It's just a video game. It's just, you know, a hypothetical reality. It's got nothing to do with the real world. You know, there might be some links, some ties, but overall it's very disconnected. And I wonder what Perseus's involvement may be in terms of the Modern Warfare 3 zombie stuff, but that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. As I said before, would you like to see Verdansk back, post-nuked, potentially in both zombies, but also maybe regular Warzone and DMZ? I would love to see us be able to play Outbreak on all the maps, literally all of them from Warzone. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.